Nothing to see here.
Bitter.
We're back. Sorry. You know, sometimes it's just computers just lock up, and I had no chance to pull Brandon in to the broadcast for whatever reason. But he is here, and the birds are chirping behind him at a Starbucks in Cumming. Where'd you say you are?
Brazelton.
In Brazelton. So Brandon Joseph joining us, Coach Jackson joining us. So happy you guys can join us. I hope you guys jump back in the chat. Those of you who were there. I'm Nathan McCurry, Coach Ron Jackson, and Brandon Joseph here for the FCS Checkdown Week 6 here in the FCS. We are live on YouTube, and you can join the conversation. And Brandon, just give us a life update. I know you were working some football games, not feeling great. By the way, I had a terrible cold early this week, and just kind of recovering from that. But how the heck are you? How the babies? How's the wife?
Good. Lovely being in this part of the woods. We are, going to be closing on the house soon. So, we're just living the dream, man.
Nice. I got thank you. Brandon Haddock is back. Brandon Joseph. Brandon Haddock was filling in kind of for you. He was our Brandon fill-in for a time there. So appreciate that. Coach Jackson, again, you have the week off. You get a chance to spend some time just watching some football. Are you guys doing any traveling or no?
No, it depends. Ryan and his fiance might be coming to visit. If that be the case, we'll be staying at the house. But if not,
nice.
we might ride up to Louisville and check out Louisville and Virginia. Or more than likely, we're going to ride up to Clarksville and check out Austin Peay in West Georgia.
Austin Peay is a favorite. We're going to talk about that game. They're a 5-point favorite over West Georgia. Just kind of let that settle in. We're going to talk some games here. But Brandon, real quick, you're a genius. We love your insight. Sequence Equity had a meeting with FCS commissioners this week to talk about privatizing the FCS playoffs. I didn't realize this. Montana State lost like $24,000 being in the playoffs and making the deep run. That's not right. What the heck? Your thoughts on this thing here?
Well, it's kind of like what we talked about a couple weeks ago. And, some people may think that I'm crazy when I talk about things. And then, news happens, word gets out, and it goes, oh, he wasn't so far crazy in what he brought up. So I hope that just provides a little bit of the path of the light that what we were looking at, what we were talking about was that, there's value in these playoffs. It's just somebody has to want to champion it, and it just seems that none of these conferences want to take it upon themselves to champion their playoffs at their level, and now somebody else goes in and goes, okay, well, we can monetize this a little better at the very least, but they have the ears of a lot of commissioners, which is something that hasn't been the case, I would say. But yeah, it's not foreign for a team to lose money, especially a good team. You want to host that first round playoff game, sometimes you're paying, $250,000 plus for the right to host a playoff game. And, then the travel number offsets a little bit when you get to the next level, when they supplement your travel, but it doesn't cover everything.
Right.
There's actually an equation the NCAA uses, and it's fairly outdated, and some teams just fight it. Before, they used to treat it as it's a privilege to be part of this playoff, and in all realization, the way they bundle the rights, the NCAA never really cared about it. So for a private equity company to come in there and say, hey, we see a pathway to monetize this and to make money, the only question is, are your rights holder going to get on board? Is the NCAA going to get on board? Is ESPN going to get on board? I don't know. That's the tough things. But to champion this, I mean, it's long overdue for these conference commissioners and these conferences to get on board and say, hey, we play a brand of football that deserves to have not just a spotlight, but deserves to be treated as such. There is no reason why they should not be able to make money doing this. The reason why they don't make money is because they don't do that.
Right, and the thing is, like, this is where you start seeing the NCAA obstructing the FCS from moving into a financially secure and stable arena, and private equity may be the way it goes, but you start losing some power if you're the NCAA. Supposedly the FCS conferences will still hold the majority of the rights, but bringing in some private equity, I think it's a good thing. Coach Jackson, you got any thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's a fantastic thing. As soon as I heard about it, I immediately pointed out that I didn't know any of the details, and it would be infinitely better than the system that they're using right now. Brandon's absolutely right when he's talking about the NCAA really only subsidizes some of the travel costs, which nowadays that it just doesn't cover everything. And if the bidding process to host a game to me is right crazy too, especially when you look at the first round of the playoffs, is typically during a time that there are no students going to be able to make it to the game. So I'm hoping that a private equity firm comes in, they look at how the thing is run, and it makes it better. So it is a profitable thing. I'm like Brandon. I believe it can be a profitable entity if done the right way.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Brandon Haddock has a comment here that the main reason some of these good FCS teams move to the FCS is because money, and that is absolutely correct. And we saw it with Kennesaw State. This wasn't a football team that was prepared to move to the FCS. Their stadium seats about 8,000 people. It's mostly half empty. They allowed some of these teams to get waivers for some of these things, and I don't like the chasing the money, but you got to understand, and when you talk to some of these coaches that are part of the Olympic sports, if football goes away at a school like Kennesaw State, baseball has more money, basketball has more money, volleyball has more money, soccer has more money. Now, is that all pretty and fancy and what a lot of spectator sports want to see? No. But it's the reality, and football costs a lot of money, so they've got to do something. Brandon, I'll give you your final thought on this here.
Yeah, I mean, you can lose money at the FCS level, or you can lose money at the FBS level, and that's what it boils down to. But at the FBS level, we see far better, even the worst television deal. I mean, whether it's the MAC, CUSA, is better than the best television deal conference-wide than the FCS level. I think, with the exception of North Dakota State, which pulls in a couple of million with a Midco deal with a group of television stations locally, we don't see really good money flowing in terms of television rights, because everything is bundled and buried on ESPN Plus, because ESPN needs to have that value to make people pay now $29.99, whatever it is, to get people to go watch ESPN Plus. So they just hoard and bundle rights. There is a world which, if you took, and the model doesn't have to be a conference-based model. The model is, if all these conference commissioners got together and bundled their rights, kind of like what we saw back in the 80s at the FBS level, where, hey, we're going to collectively sell our package of games somewhere.
You're right.
You can make money and spread it around. And is it going to be big bucks? No. But then you can come up with some ancillary deals that can supplement it. But it's just being in the cult, I would say, of the NCAA, where the NCAA is the guiding light and tells you where to go, what to do. We're starting to see the FCS schools wake up and realize that that's not the way to go, and they can do better on their own. And what's the NCAA's leeway to tell you to do? They are a member-based institution. Mm-hmm. They work on the behest of their members. If the FCS conferences and schools tells the NCAA to do something, guess what the NCAA has to do? They have to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Nicholas chimed in. We haven't got to games just yet, but he's asking about URTGV. They are the highest scoring offense in the FCS right now at 260 points scored. And he wants to know, do we think that UTRGV will win any games in the Southland? Well, I have their schedule pulled up here. They play Houston Christian next. And I think that's an improved program, so I don't think you're going to look for a win there. Lamar, no. UIW, no. Stephen F. Austin, no. Nichols, no. McNeese, probably no. The final game of the season is East Texas A&M. And Nicholas, if you're looking for URTGV to pick up a win, that last game there against Texas A&M might be your moneymaker there. Coach Jackson, you got any thoughts on URTGV, just kind of how their season has gone so far? They lost against CeeLo. It was a 45-31 game, very close game there last week. They have a bye. They play Houston Christian this weekend. Just your thoughts.
Well, I love UTRGV, the Vaqueros. I love the buzz that's going around with their program. They literally, I think they've had the best intro into the FCS that I've seen in a while. When you got 12,000 in and 8,000 out, or 8,000 in and 12,000 out, 2,000 people wait to see. Now, as far as their production, I like that they score points. So I think they've got a decent shot against Houston Christian. If they don't get it done against Houston Christian, the last game against East Texas A&M is about the only other shot that they got. The best thing about it is every game they are going to score some points, but until they get that defense settled in a little bit, it's going to be tough sledding for the Vaqueros.
Yeah, the Vaqueros. I mean, again, they've done it kind of the right way. They prepared. They've brought in a great investment. They've built up their stadium, the fan base. They've really fired up the student fan base down there. Brandon, your thoughts on URTGV and what their Southland schedule, the remaining Southland schedule, may look like?
Yeah, you're not supposed to win when you start off. And that's the core. It's not, a disrespectful thing or a bad thing. You're not supposed to win this. You're not designed to win. But with that said, you score points, you have the ability. You turn anything into a shootout, who knows? You may force a team to throw 3 interceptions, all of a sudden, you find yourself up 2-3 scores. So the possibility is always there. The easiest way to win games, every coach tell you, have a defense, prevent them from scoring. But you can win games. We've seen bad teams win games by just outscoring somebody. And that's not saying the Vaqueros are a bad team, but we've seen that in the case of, hey, putting up points sometimes can be a path to victory. That East Texas game may be an opportunity for them, but don't be shocked if they don't win a game. It's not going to be an indictment of them moving forward. It's just the landscape is made that you're not supposed to win your first year.
And you'll start to see depth become a problem as the season goes on, because that's what happens for these young teams. They'll get a great starting 11, very capable, and then you start seeing those nicks start to happen. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm happy for them, and New Haven as well. You got Chicago State joining next year. It's going to be a fun time. Brandon Haddock can see I'm having problems there with the UTRGV. We can call them Rio Grande Valley. I think that's what Jonah Goldberg, who was their SID, joined us earlier in the season, said, you can call them Rio Grande Valley if that's rolls off the tongue a little bit nicer. I know MTSU was always MTSU, and now they're just Middle Tennessee. So we'll see how that whole thing happens as the season as their progression here in the FCS continues. But hey, let's get to some game previews. We've had a handful of games. And we're going to start with one that, I don't know that many people are all that excited about, but I'm excited about it. It is Dartmouth and Penn. It should be a fun matchup. You take a look at the records here: 2-0 for Dartmouth. Penn Quakers. By the way, when I was writing this, I actually put Quackers in like everything I had. I totally forgot how to spell Quakers. But Dartmouth and Penn. Dartmouth, they have showcased a solid rushing attack, 152.5 yards per game. DJ Crowther leads the team with 295 yards, impressive 5.3 yards per carry. Dartmouth will aim to establish a run early against Penn, and they've struggled against the run, allowing an average of 83 yards per game in just their 2 games. Strengthening their defensive front will be crucial against Crowther in the Dartmouth ground game. Grayson Sonoir, I still can't figure out how to pronounce his name, but the quarterback there for Dartmouth has been very effective under center, completing 70% of his passes, 651 yards, 4 touchdowns. His ability to distribute the ball has been very, very good so far this season, whereas Penn has Liam O'Brien. Again, if you talk about Liam O'Brien for Penn, that's exactly what you kind of think the quarterback for Penn should be named. 554 yards, 4 touchdowns. His efficiency is going to be tested against Dartmouth's defense. They're very, very good. Dartmouth and Penn, always fun to see these Ivy League schools as they start getting things rolling. This should be a good one. Again, I think we were talking about Dartmouth having the best football helmets, and Penn, a kind of a program that's always competitive. Let's talk about this one real quick. Brandon, I'll let you start here. Dartmouth and Penn.
My mom went to Cornell, so I have no love for either one of these two universities of higher education. So, but no, it's going to be in these Ivy League games. Home field really is an advantage. These Ivy League games are weirdly hot when they get into, the crowd showing up, and these are electric crowds, and they do influence a snap or two, a play or two, a drive or two, a game. And remember, these kids, football is like the fourth priority with what they do. So you won't see necessarily, one, the depth, and two, Alabama, they have a right tackle that false starts because of noise a couple times. He's better than that. Eventually, he will fine-tune it just enough that, he gets close enough to the snap and won't get called for a false start. That may not be the case in a lot of Ivy League games. So home field definitely does have an advantage. But the team that's also the more complete team, and Dartmouth is at this point, that can run the ball, and they can run the ball, especially in tight quarters in the red zone. They can get in the end zone for a touchdown, but also they can throw the ball. That gives the Dartmouth team a little bit more of an advantage over than the Quakers.
Yeah, I think I'm with Dartmouth on this one, not only because their helmets are cool and unique, but I think they're battle tested, and I think that good quarterback under center Coach Jackson, pretty good defense, a run game. I think they're going to pick up a win against Penn.
Yeah, when I think of Penn, I think of the oatmeal dude on the box. So that leads me to believe slow and thick. So I don't think they've got a chance against Dartmouth. I like what Dartmouth is doing. I like their defense. I'm like Brandon Haddock. I like their helmets. I like their colors. I would go with the green right here.
All right, sounds good. We're all on
Fun fact about the Quaker Oats man: set the can, his eyes will follow you wherever you go.
Is that right?
That's creepy.
That is creepy. That is creepy.
Real creepy.
I don't think I have seen a Quaker Oats can in about 25 years. Hey, I'm with you.
He's got young kids. I bet he knows.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the actual. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Hey, who's ready to talk about the Battle of the Bay? Norfolk State and Hampton Pirates. I bet we're the only FCS podcast talking about this one. Norfolk State 1-4. The Hampton Pirates 1-4. I have a very heartfelt connection to this game because I grew up in Hampton Roads area. So it should be a good one. It's also Michael Vick in his first season at Norfolk State facing off Trenton Boykin in his second season at Hampton. Something's got to give for this one. They're at Armstrong Stadium. Fun fact, I played for the Armstrong Vikings when I was a young lad there in Hampton. Isaiah Freeman does a little bit of everything for Hampton, 295 yards rushing, 343 yards passing. He's got 5 total touchdowns in 5 games. He's going to be facing a Norfolk State defense that surrendered 195 yards rushing. Blech. So you look for him to exploit that defense with his legs. It's going to be a fun one there in Hampton. And I think that you look at Freeman for Hampton, who's got that dual threat. He's going to cause some problems for Norfolk State. Their run defense has been a problem all season long. And it's a red flag facing a mobile quarterback who can read defenses and pull the ball down on read options. If Freeman gets into a rhythm, you can say that he's going to be rushing for a lot of yards. Kevon King carries the load for Norfolk State's ground game. He's productive when he gets touches. The Spartans haven't been consistent establishing a run game so far this season, but when they do, he can be pretty good. Transfer quarterback Coons there for Norfolk State. It's been pretty good. He has 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Norfolk State and Hampton Pirates. I think this one's good. This one's a big game for both these squads because both of them need a win. Recruiting type of atmosphere. Norfolk State, if you want to develop and build, by the way, change your logo, please. It's horrible. But if you want to develop your team, Mike Vick, you got to beat Hampton. I'd love to see Norfolk State pick up a win in this one and maybe get that monkey off the back for Norfolk State. Hampton, they need a win. They're in the CAA. There's big expectations. Brandon, I'll let you start here. What are you thinking?
A mosquito stung me on the top of my head.
That's a
That may
harbinger
be
for
less painful. That may be less painful than this game, to be honest.
okay.
Hampton has played tougher competition.
Yeah.
I think they're more battle tested. They're more of a complete team. We talked about this in the preview, and even week 1. Mike Vick didn't get hired because his team won 11 games and was a fringe playoff team. No,
Right.
The Spartans have been bad, and they've been bad for a while now. Hampton has played tougher competition, and they've played it fairly close. I mean, every game that Hampton was in, you could look at, okay, you could find a way for them to win. They didn't win the game. They beat Elizabeth City, which is a small coastal college in North Carolina, for those who don't know. For the Spartans on the other side, I mean, they can hang with a team. It's just they can't put games away. And that's a huge, huge problem. But yeah, I just think, for everything they do offensively really well, they light up the scoreboard, the Spartans do. In terms of passing yards, they can move the ball. They just can't consistently score, and they can't get stopped. So I'm going to lead Hampton in this one, but no disrespect to your people, your area, Nathan. Do not get upset if I do not pull this game up on ESPN+.
Let me see. I got my Hampton Crabbers. Brandon, you were with me when I got this. We went to that Hampton Walmart over there and stuff over here in Hampton when Kennesaw State played. And what a windy, crappy little stadium. The wind blows off Chesapeake Bay, Coach Jackson, there in Hampton. So it could be.
I wonder if they still hate me over there.
100%.
Yes.
Yes,
100%. Yeah, I feel sure they did.
Well,
I don't even know why.
It's a funny story. I was calling the offensive plays, and our broadcast booth is right next to the offensive coordinator. And he got to a point where he was getting so upset he was starting to bang on the window because I was calling out all their looks and their plays pre-snap.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, what was it? The hot pass? Couldn't have been much more than 24 lead hot pass.
That ended DeAndre Francois' any chance at playing professional football.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, highly touted and a lot of noise around Francois. But anyway, a transfer from FBS school, if I recall. Coach Jackson, Hampton and Norfolk. I'm calling for the upset. I think that Hampton. I think Hampton is a school in trouble, and I think Norfolk State's going to be hungry. I'm going to go with Norfolk State here. What you thinking?
I cannot in good conscience pick. So this is not going to be very good. I cannot in good conscience pick Hampton. I can't stand them. And my daughter would never talk to me again if I picked Hampton. So I'm going to go with the upset too, based on absolutely nothing except for Michael Vick gets his team ready and Hampton sucks.
Yeah. By the way, Nicholas Mann says, do you think that they'll have Norfolk State and Delaware State will have better recruiting because they have NFL players as coaches? Yeah. I mean, I think Deion Sanders has kind of set that mold. The problem is that Michael Vick had no coaching experience, right? Maybe maybe as a high school, whatever. I do believe that Deshaun Jackson did have coaching experience at a high school level. So I think Norfolk State did itself a disservice by hiring Michael Vick at this time. Bring him on as a quarterback's coach, as an offensive coordinator, as something under some leadership, and then if you want him there. But, yeah, I think they're going to get looks because people are going to want to go be around Mike Vick and Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, I think that's probably, I think it's probably true. But if they're losing constantly, they ain't going to be long. They won't stay there very long, Brandon.
Yeah, if they're losing, nobody's going to be there for an extended period of time, and that includes Michael Vick. So, your name value will get you in the homes. It will get kids coming to school. Take a look at Colorado. You mentioned Deion Sanders. Got a lot of really talented guys in there. He had Travis Hunter come through Jackson State and then go to Colorado with him. And he had Juju Lewis, which is a top-rated quarterback, coming out of local high school in Georgia, Carrollton High School. riding the pine there at Colorado. Just because you have the name value doesn't mean you can't do job number one, coach
Yeah.
very well. And that's the problem we're seeing with a lot of these celebrity, quote unquote, type of head coaches. They can get the guys in there, but the staff is a problem. Getting guys that can coach. Can Michael Vick articulate to any one of these quarterbacks on roster why they need to do the small things? Because like Wayne Gretzky, what made Wayne Gretzky a horrible hockey coach was everything to him came natural. It was natural for him to make all these moves. A lot of what Mike Vick did was natural. Can they coach? That's going to be the biggest obstacle.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this. I think that Deion Sanders injected money into the Jackson State program. I think he did it a little differently. And so the facilities at Norfolk State, I mean, remember Ed Reed's video when he got hired by Bethune-Cookman and he was driving around and this place is trash. There's buildings got stabbed, like trash in it, right? These facilities aren't what you think of when you don't, when you see some of these videos of locker rooms from around the FBS. This ain't it, Jack. These are usually old band rooms that have little steel chairs in them, and that's your visitor locker room, and sometimes that's your home locker room. So, yeah, it's a tricky situation when you hire those NFL head coaches, and best of luck to them. I'm a big Michael Vick fan. Deshaun Jackson, I think he was a fantastic player. We'll see if it translates. Brandon Haddock wants to know your favorite bourbon, by the way, Coach. I mentioned mine's Dovetail. Bourbon Barrel is the make, and Dovetail is the model, if you will. You got a favorite bourbon, Coach?
You know what? I'm not picky. So I'm not picky on bourbon, and I'm not real picky on food. I really like blended whiskey a little bit better, so I'm a Crown Royal fan. But any kind of bourbon works for me.
Okay. Brandon, are you a bourbon drinker? Oh, sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
No. I done contacted Brandon. I'm going to get with him here in a couple of weeks when we go down to North Florida. And I don't believe I'm going to get there until Saturday. North Alabama, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't believe
if you're meeting him in North Florida, he may not be there.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to get there till Saturday, but plan on getting there early and hanging out with him and having a good little time. Now, I will say this, back to what you was talking about with Michael Vick, he's there, and your NFL coaches, Brandon Joseph is right. They've got to get good coaches on their staff. Deion Sanders, or Coach Prime, has injected a lot into Colorado, and he's injecting extra timeouts that he's going to take here in a few years. If he doesn't get somebody on that sideline to tell him how to manage the clock.
Yes.
Eddie George did the right thing when he went to Bowling Green. He took Dwayne Alexander with him, who's another head coach.
Yes.
When you look out there and they've got nothing but these other celebrity guys that are coaching positions but have never really coached in college, that becomes absolutely problematic. So I think they'll get better recruits because you got the transfer portal now, so there's better recruits left in high school. But to Brandon's point, they're going to have to get them coached up.
Yeah. All right, absolutely. We got a bunch of games to get through, so we're going to jump out. Brandon, real quick, Brandon, are you a bourbon guy? I should go this way. Are you a bourbon guy?
Yeah, I drink some. Lusty Claw has been my bourbon of choice mainly because a long time ago did a deal with them, so I had tons and tons of free Lusty Claw. So
you say
free bourbon does taste better. I got
Lusty Claw.
Lusty.
Yeah. They serve that at the Crab Shack or the Krabby Patties, or where do you get that at?
I don't know. It just showed up and I drank it.
Well, I mean, it sounded. I don't know. I had never heard of it, so I didn't know where it was. The Rusty Craw.
Lusty Claw bourbon.
Yeah.
Got you. All right.
It's red. It's not. I don't know. All right, let's get to our games. Elon and Towson. This is a CAA matchup. Elon 3-2, 1-0 in the CAA. Towson Tigers 3-2 and 1-0 in the CAA. Rushing attack versus a defensive front is what you're looking at for here. Elon, the Phoenix have showcased potent rushing attack led by Jamil Williams, who has accounted for 369 yards with an impressive average of 7.2 yards per carry. The team has recorded 12 rushing touchdowns already this season, while his Tigers defense has struggled against the run, allowing 391 yards in 3 games, and a critical area for Towson to address as they face this Elon run game. Quarterback Landon Clark has been effective for the Phoenix, 63 of 128, over 1,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns. His ability to connect again has been very good. He's mixing the ball around, whereas Tyson has a young quarterback, Andrew Endorf, a true freshman, leads the Tigers with over 1,000 yards passing himself and 7 touchdowns with just 2 interceptions. He's going to be critical. This is another game. Listen, CAA matchup. These games are critical here early in the season. Elon and Towson. We know what Elon was a couple years ago, right? They're trying to get back to where they were. Towson's always been a thorn in people's side there in the CAA. Coach Jackson, I'm going to let you start here with Elon and Towson.
You know, I like what Elon is done, but I kind of like Townsend a little bit better today. I hadn't picked him in a couple of weeks, so I'm going with Stephen McKenzie on Eagle Rare Bourbon, and I'm going with Townsend in this game.
All right, Brandon, I'm with Elon on this one. I think a veteran quarterback, rushing game, I think that spells problems for Towson.
Yeah, it's going to be when does the freshman play like a freshman for Towson. Elon's a very good team. They can move the ball very well. They can keep a lot of pressure on Towson and try to hold pace with them. So I lean towards Elon, and I think Elon's going to win this game.
All right. And we also have a couple people, as the coach, Stephen McKenzie, says he thinks Elon is going to pull this one out. Brandon Haddock says Towson needs to become the face of the modern CAA. I agree with that. I agree. Towson could be the new face of the CAA. We shall see. I'm a little bit hesitant now to pick for those of y'all who picked Towson, because Brandon didn't have a great week picking last week. No offense, Brandon Haddock. We love your interaction. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, up next, we've got another game here. This is going to be one that is close to Brandon's heart. It's the Butler University Bulldogs and the Tommies of St. Thomas. This is a Pioneer Conference matchup. Should be a good one, as the Bulldogs have shown a good balanced rushing attack, 177.6 yards per game. Gab Passini leads the charge with 276 yards and 5.7 yards per carry. The Tommies have allowed an average of 136 yards on the ground. That's pretty good. Good defense, rush defense there. Passing-wise, Reagan Andrew has thrown for 496 yards and 8 touchdowns, completing over 66% of his passes, while Tommies rely on Andy Peters, has 873 yards passing, 10 touchdowns. Not too shabby for the young Tommy. All right, so we got the Butler Bulldogs and the St. Thomas Tommies there in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'll start here. Gotta love what Coach Caruso's doing for the St. Thomas Tommies, but you know what? I think the Butler Bulldogs, they rule in the Pioneer League, and I think the Butler Bulldogs, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and I'm going to say Tommies don't get it done this week. They're going to be beaten by Butler Bulldogs. Coach Jackson?
I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere at O'Shaughnessy, or however you say that stadium in.
Got to give it the old Irish accent, Coach.
Well, I don't have no Irish accent. I can give you that Gladeville accent with it, and I just did that. So, you know what? Listen, I think Butler's got the better team. However, man, listen, you can't count the Tommies out. I know they're going to play them hard. I'm going with the Tommies just because it's a home game.
All right, Brandon?
Protect the rock, and that's what the Tommies do. And protect the home field. That's what the Tommies will do. You can't say Butler runs the Pioneer League when the Tommies would have won the Pioneer League, what was it, 2 years ago, if not for the NCAA stupid rule on reclassification of a team moving up after they were kicked out of their Division II.
Yeah. Same thing's going to happen at West Georgia, my guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. By the way, I may be the lone wolf here. I got Butler, and everyone else is, I think, piling on me here. All right, we'll see. We'll see. I'll take some experience, and we'll see what happens. All right. right. Yeah, so I got Butler. You guys got the Tommies. Looks like the chat's got the Tommies as well. All right, up next, we're going to go to the OVC Big South as UT Martin. Look at that 1-4 schedule, but 3 of those losses have come to FBS opponents, where Lindenwood has played well, 2-3. They're both 1-0 in the OVC in the Big South Alliance there. UT Martin, they've struggled a little bit offensively because they played those FBS opponents. Jace Bauer leads the team with 198 yards rushing, 3.9 yards per carry. I think establishing a run is going to be very crucial for UT Martin against Lindenwood. They've averaged 200 yards rushing per game, which places them vulnerable against the teams like UT Martin. Passing-wise, Bauer, 58% completions, almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Lindenwood, Nate Glantz is a name that kind of keeps popping up. He's got over 1,000 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, but he does have those 4 interceptions. You can't turn the ball over if you're Lindenwood against UT Martin. I think UT Martin is a team that probably their record doesn't reflect particularly how good they are. So they got to pick up a win, and I'm going to go with UT Martin over Lindenwood. Brandon Johnson. I'm Jan Joseph. Brandon Joseph. Jeez, Manish.
4 games in, we still don't know what UT Martin is. I mean, I get that they play tougher competition, but, you're not doing yourselves any favor with creating an identity. Lindenwood, they played, App State close. They beat Charleston Southern, beat Stony Brook, lost to Miami of Ohio. I mean, I think Lindenwood, and you put a stat up there on the full screen, Lindenwood has never lost to UT Martin, despite last year that game going to overtime. I think Lindenwood could very well win this game. I'm going to pick Lindenwood to win this game. I just think that at this point, I don't know what UT Martin is, and I don't know if they know truly who they are in that locker room. I mean, there is a benefit to playing all these FBS schools. Yeah, you get a lot of money, but there's also a detriment that you don't know who you are, because there's very little you can take game to game from the tape and try to apply it moving forward.
Coach Jackson, we know that Jason Simpson is a fantastic coach. UT Martin's got to show something now. You're in the FCS schedule. You got those money gains behind you. How beaten up, how battered are you from those games? Lindenwood's a good football program. I picked them earlier in the year and got a pat on the back because I got a big win. It's a good Lindenwood program with a terrible logo.
It is an awful logo, and it is a good Lindenwood team. And I agree with Brandon that we really don't know what UT Martin is, but you know what? I'm going to tell you like this, and you bet the rent, bet the mortgage, whatever. UT Martin is going to beat the shit high in transit out of Lindenwood this week. It's not even going to be close. That's my lock of the week.
All right, so Brandon's now on an island because Steve McKenzie comes in with UT Martin should win this football game. I agree. I think they should win the football game, but in my opinion, question marks still surround that program. We'll see what happens. All right, Villanova and UNH. Villanova 2-2 in the CAA and 1-1 in the CAA, 2-2 overall. New Hampshire Wildcats 3-2, 1-1 in the CAA. This is at Wildcat Stadium apparently. It's misspelled there, but listen, Wildcats versus Wildcats. Villanova, number 19 team in the country. David Avit has been in wrecking ball for Villanova. He's got over 300 yards rushing, 6.3 yards per carry. He's going to be a bowling ball to have to be reckoned with there for New Hampshire. I'm wondering if they can handle it on the defensive side. We shall see. Here's what's interesting. Pat McQuaid has been efficient for Villanova, so they also have the passing game to lean on. 65.2% of his throws, 922 yards, 9 touchdowns for him. On the flip side, Matt Vezza leads New Hampshire's passing attack, 651 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's not going to wow you with volume, but he's smart with the football. Chase Wilson is his top target, so you look to see them try and make that connection there early and often. And running back Miles Thomason for New Hampshire, averaging 5.1 yards per carry. We shall see about this one. It is the Battle of the Wildcats. A little note there, Villanova won 14-6 last year. Nova used 9-play, 99-yard drive for the game-winning score. That was a heck of a performance there to win that one. It's a very close one. It's always close with Villanova and New Hampshire. Coach Jackson, I'll let you start here. The Wildcats versus the Wildcats.
There are going to be a lot of good plays made by a lot of guys whose last names that I can't pronounce. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, and Villanova seems to pull out close defensive battles time in and time out. New Hampshire's got them at home, so that'll help a little bit. But I think it's one of them 17, 15, 20 to 19 games, and I think Villanova pulls it out.
Yeah, I'm with Nova on this one too, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm going to take Villanova. I just think they can win these games close.
All right, that is that for that one. Yeah, Villanova and New Hampshire should be a good one as we cruise on to our next matchup. It's North Alabama and Abilene Christian. Another Wildcats here. What are we doing here, guys? North Alabama, and again misspelled. It's North Alabama Lions. It was late. It was a late night. Trust me, it was a late night. 1-3 on the season. They have not played a UAC matchup yet. Abilene Christian 2-3. 1-0. This is also at Wildcat Stadium, but in Abilene Christian. High-scoring win last year, 47-34. UNA scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, defeating ranked number 10 ACU, and is their first FCS ranked win in Division I history. So North Alabama is going to try and do it again. North Alabama and Abilene Christian. Stone Earl for Abilene Christian has been fantastic. 7 touchdowns, but the 4 interceptions. You can't turn the ball over. The running back, Banks Jr., they don't really get him involved as much as you want him to. They got to have a run game. This is a pass forward team for Abilene Christian, whereas North Alabama showed us something. I tell you what, I'm really impressed by this kid, Peay, the quarterback there. He's got 4 touchdowns. He's limited his interceptions. They want to move the ball down the field. We shall see what happens. Brandon Haddock's going to have some good insight on this one, I hope. ACU hosting North Alabama. Let's see. Who you got there, Coach Jackson?
Man, let me tell you. First of all, I'm going to go. I told you I was going to go visit Brandon in North Alabama here in a couple of weeks. So after this prediction, whatever bourbon he decides to bring along is going to have to come in a fully sealed bottle because I would. I like North Alabama, and I think that they're going to play well. It's a tough trip out to Abilene. Abilene got their tails whooped last week, so they're going to have a little bit of the, the red tail syndrome. I think it's close. I think it's a great game. I think North Alabama plays them great. I think it's another game. I'll be sitting here next week talking about I really like them, but they don't have enough to push the ball up, finish the game out. So I'm going to go with it wouldn't surprise me if Abilene Christian gets out early, North Alabama storms back and comes up just a little short at the end. So I'm going to have to go with Abilene Christian.
Yeah, I'm with Abilene Christian too. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. They're pissed. This is a really good, well-coached team. God, I still have those questions about Stone Earl. He left the program, came back, and his turnovers are a little bit iffy. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He can run the football. I think that's going to cause problems for North Alabama. Brandon, I'm going with ACU.
How many times are we going to keep talking about ACU and, the make good game? I mean, we do this multiple times a year.
Seems like it.
I don't know. Conversely, they're playing a team that North Alabama just can't ever get over the hump. So I'm leaning towards ACU. But, yeah, you're absolutely – this is a team, and I know Stone coming back was supposed to be a good thing for them. But, a lot of times it's just because it fits doesn't necessarily mean that it will work again.
Yeah.
I think everybody was comfortable with each other, but, Stone went off, Marshall last year, played under a totally different system in Charles Huff, and was asked to do totally different things. Now he's coming back to ACU and is asked to be that gunslinger again. And, I mean, when you have to essentially deprogram yourself from doing that to play at the FBS level, and he split a lot of time at the FBS level, they come back there to ACU, I just don't know if it's going to work. Now, with that said, they should be better than North Alabama. But I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this. This isn't an indication of how good ACU is. I think it's more ACU is going to win this game because North Alabama is just not a very good team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I don't know that I'm going to say North Alabama's not a good team right now. I think they just need to develop. And we've talked to Brent Dearman. We like what he's doing there, but this consistencies, like you said, Brandon, are a lot to overcome. So ACU across the board. Brandon Haddock's not picking this one. Understandably, we've been there. All right, up next, we got SFA and UIW. It's the Lumberjacks and the Cardinals. 3-2 for the Lumberjacks, 1-0 in the Southland. UIW, they had that loss to Nichols early on in the season. It's going to be at Yale and Tom Benson Stadium there in San Antonio, Texas. And since UIW has changed quarterback, it's E.J. Colson now under center, and Torres has taken a back seat. UIW starting to get some feet under them. I'm pretty impressed with them. Whereas the Lumberjacks have shown a pretty good rushing attack with Wembley. Vidlac is there as the quarterback, is consistent, over almost 1,000 yards passing for that young man. Efficient as well, 9 touchdowns, 60% completion percentage. He loves Keelan Harris as the leading receiver there for the SFA. And listen, Caden Pennick has been not Caden Pennick. E.J. Colson has been extremely good for UIW. He's got a running back, but they're not using him all that much. Jay Spears is their leading rusher right now. He does have a touchdown, 198 yards. Receiving yards, Garcia, the wide receiver, he's got 3 touchdowns. This is going to be an interesting matchup because UIW is trying to get back in the good graces of the FCS. They're ranked number 20 right now. SFA, up and coming. Listen, guys, I'm going to go with SFA with an upset on the road here against UIW. I just don't see a lot I don't see a lot of confidence in what UIW is bringing, although they're better than what they were in week 1. I don't think they're as good as what SFA is going to bring, Brandon.
I think, the change in E.J. Colson, this is somebody that I got a chance to cover in high school here in the state of Georgia, went to Cedar Grove High School. Didn't lose a lot in high school. He was thrown into the fire at UCF. I mean, if you know the situation there towards the end, they had a lot of injuries there. Everybody was getting injured, quarterbacks, offensive linemen. And then Gus Malzahn was done. He made it kind of very clear, even during the middle of the year, that he was going to walk away from coaching, if not for his old protege, Mike Norvell, calling him towards the end of the year. That's why he's the OC at Florida State. But E.J. Colson played pretty well there at UCF during his time. So I think the kid's just a natural winner. He's very Cam Ward-esque, 6'1", under 200 pounds. Can throw, can run, can throw on the run, can do all those things. I think he's finding his place there at UIW, and I think UIW maybe had made a change at quarterback that could potentially save their season moving forward. I don't think that they're by no means a national championship winning team, but I think they can continue to win games, and I think that they can get themselves back in, let's say, the top 12 by the time the end of the year is done. But I think they cemented themselves to give themselves a little bit more consistency with a true winner at quarterback.
So you're going UIW?
Yep.
All right, Coach.
We've been talking about it all year. I think UIW gets a little bit better each week after laying an egg at first week. Literally, just they've gone from absolute trash to improving. And they got them at home at Yale and Tom Benson, which I don't know why it should be Tom and Gale Benson Stadium, but whatever.
Women always first. Always hold the door for the woman.
I got that. The only thing I could, okay, we can argue about that later. I figured maybe it was, maybe she's anyway. I just think UIW is getting a little bit better. I don't think they're the team that you want down the stretch. So and here's the thing. Again, Rev is going to be mad at me, but I don't think it's going to be reasonably close. I think UIW beats Stephen F. Austin by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, okay. I'm okay. All right, we'll see. I like it. I like the pick, though. I like the pick. All right, let's jump into this one. Yale and Lehigh. Yale 2-0, Lehigh 5-0. They're ranked number 8 in the country. The Yale Bulldogs, good balanced attack, 155 yards on the ground. Josh Pitzenberger leads the charge with 169 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. He's also a player that we saw last year who got really controlled the game on the ground. Lehigh, the Mountain Hawks, they've allowed 247 yards rushing per game. That makes them a little bit vulnerable on the ground. We'll see if Yale can exploit that. But it's Dante Reno, the quarterback for Yale, has thrown for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. touchdowns in just 2 games. Pretty freaking good. 65%, almost 66% passing. His ability to connect with his receivers like Nico Brown has been a great start to the season, whereas Hayden Johnson leads the Mountain Hawks, 898 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He has been a force for this Lehigh program. He leads the way. Luke Yoder, their running back, is somebody that we cannot not talk about. He is fantastic. Almost 586 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, a rushing battering ram there for Lehigh. This one should be good. It's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Yale and Lehigh. I'm wondering, you played 5 games if you're Lehigh. You've only played 2 games if you're Yale. A little bit more fresh. But Lehigh battle-tested. Coach Jackson, I'll let you start here.
You know, Lehigh is, by every sense of the word, consistent. They're not great in everything, but they're good in everything. Kind of reminds me of a girl I went to middle school with named Lachelle. So I'm going with Lehigh this Saturday in the upset. Well, it's not really an upset. I mean, they're going on the road, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Lehigh.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, Lehigh's going to pound the ball, and unfortunate for Yale, I don't think there's much they can do to stop it. I'm going to take Lehigh.
Yeah, Lehigh just a 3.5-point favorite there over Yale, so not much of an upset, but I mean it's not an upset, but it's a what we're saying there.
Not
I'm Lehigh as well. Yeah, I'm Lehigh as well, by the way. All right, moving on to our next game, which is going to be out west in the Big Sky. UC Davis and Cal Poly. The Aggies 3-1, 1-0 in the Big Sky. Cal Poly, big game last week, picked up a big win. They're 3-2 and 1-0 in the Big Sky if they defeated Sacramento State and that go-go offense with it on the side. Brandon, I would love to hear your comments about this before we jump into this game. Having go-go on the side of your helmets and putting up a freaking that's what I thought.
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm of the mindset of you make people run until they vomit, but I guess that's not, apropos anymore. But
yeah. Well, and you can say there's a lot of things coming on at Sacramento State that you are thinking, what are we doing, guys? Come on. And it's not the hire of Brendan Marion. I think that's a great hire. It sparked a lot of interest in that program. Everything else, you can't make one good decision out of 100 and be,
I'm going to use the word allegedly just because I think that covers all legal bounds. Okay. Allegedly, in my belief, I wouldn't be shocked if multiple people go to jail in dealing with Sac State. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. We might have that may be all right. Let's get into the football game. Yeah, so Davis and Cal Poly. Rushing leader Jordan Fisher, 387 yards, 5.8 yards per carry for UC Davis. Caden Pinnock is the quarterback there for UC Davis. 851 yards and so far 8 touchdowns. Just 2 interceptions. And then Cal Poly, they have running back Ty Washington, and their quarterback is Daffenbach, who's a great freaking name. They picked up a big win against Sacramento State. They're going to try and do it at home there in San Luis Obispo at Mustang Memorial Stadium. UC Davis rolled in this one last year, by the way, 56-10, as 28 first quarter points set the tone for UC Davis. The Aggies are 11-4 in that series history. Can Cal Poly pull up a victory? And I'll say no. I'm going to go UC Davis on this one, and the UC Davis big, Brandon.
Yeah, if you bring back up that full screen graphic, you see the quarterback has 576 yards. The top receiver has 492 yards. That's not a good recipe. That's not a good differential. That's not spreading the ball around. That is, yeah. I mean, the quarterback has 5 touchdown passes. The receiver has 7 touchdown catches. You get that just kind of says everything that you need. I mean, This is a very one-target Cal Poly offense. I think UC Davis, 56-10 was last year's score. I don't think it's a 46-point victory, but I think it's 4 score.
And 7 years ago. Coach Jackson, what you got?
The ponies are improved, but UC Davis going to roll right through them. I don't think it's even close. I'm like Brandon. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like it was last year, but whether you get beat 56-10, whether you get beat 34-17, same thing.
Yeah,
UC Davis.
I think it's going to be an interesting one because I think UC Davis has had slow starts on this season. I mentioned this, I think, last podcast. I got some question marks about, they've lost a lot of stuff. I have a lot of confidence in Tim Plow there at UC Davis, but I think it's going to be a second half pull away there for UC Davis. All right, another intriguing matchup. It's Montana at 4-0 in the Big Sky versus Idaho State Bengals at 2-3. Also 1-0 in the Big Sky. This is at the ICCU Dome there in Pocatello, Idaho. Should be an interesting one. Number 4, Montana versus Idaho State. Eli Gilman has really been impressive on the season. You see his stats there, 8 touchdowns on the season. Kelly Ayotte, the quarterback, 7 touchdowns, passing over 1,000 yards. Then you look over at Idaho State, and Dason Brooks, their rushing leader. Jordan Cook, their quarterback, has done a phenomenal job. Faison Wilson is his leading receiver. Defensively, these teams can put pressure on quarterbacks. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know if Idaho State has the horses to stick with Montana defensively. I think offensively they might be able to stick with them, but I'm saying because of the defense for Montana is that much better, I'm going to say Montana wins this one because of their defense. Coach Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Montana's going to roll into Pocatello or Pocatello, however you say that. They're going to roll in there, and I think the score will be a little bit closer than what the game is. I think Montana will control the ball most of the time. And again, 21-14, 28-21, whatever. But the score will be a little bit closer than what the game indicates. I'm going with Montana.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, I think Montana wins this. I'm just trying to think of what would make this game a little bit more interesting in my preview. I think there's a chance Idaho State moves the ball for less than 250 yards.
Oh.
I think that's how dominant Montana is going to be in this game. I think Montana, and to coach's point, Montana is not going to necessarily, they don't need to win this game by 4 or 5 scores. But it won't show on the scoreboard how dominant Montana should or could potentially be over Idaho State. I mean, they may win this game, 21-0, 24-0, 24-10. But it's going to be a Montana Grizzly domination.
All right. Well, now we're going to get into our ranked versus ranked matchups. 4 more games left, guys. Let's start right here with West Georgia at Austin Peay. 18 is the rank for West Georgia. Number 21 for Austin Peay. Latrell Murrell has been a human battering ram for the Wolves in the first 5 weeks. You see his numbers there, 502 yards on 87 carries. Devin Widener, the quarterback, he's got handful of touchdowns, but those interceptions loom large for Widener. And I saw him in person. I have a lot of questions about his arm strength and when he needs to make a pass down the field. If he can do it, he's got some pretty good wide receivers. We shall see, but it's good. The run game that West Georgia is going to have to lean on. And for Austin Peay, take a look at the quarterback there. Austin Peay's very, very good through the offense. They've been pretty stingy on defense. Their defense is rock solid against the run, surrendering just 107 yards per game on the ground. That's a kind of a conference championship kind of numbers. And Javius Bond has 413 yards and 4 touchdowns to lead the Governors on the ground game that kind of match up with West Georgia. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Chris Parsons is the quarterback for Austin Peay, 940, over 1,000 yards now passing with 7 touchdowns, just 1 interception. West Georgia's toughest matchup of the season, I believe, is right there in Clarksville, Tennessee. And Coach Jackson, I'll let you start. I know you may head out to that one, and if I had some time, I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I just texted my wife, and she said, we can go if you want to go. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Two things. West Georgia, first of all, the NCAA needs to free West Georgia. If they're good enough to make the playoffs, they ought to let them in. Second thing, the quarterback from West Georgia is more of a game manager than he's going to dazzle you with arm strength and stuff like that. And the third thing is they're about to run into a buzzsaw. Austin Peay is going to probably introduce some more to. It's going to be a good game, but they're about to run into a buzzsaw in Clarksville. It's a tough place to play. Jeff Ferris is a fantastic young up-and-coming coach. He's got a talented roster, just like and West Georgia's got a talented roster too. I look at we've talked about some of the receivers that West Georgia's got,
Yeah.
but Austin Peay is the real deal on defense. They're the real deal on offense. I think that they probably flex their muscles a little bit against West Georgia. I'm probably 28-17. Let's go Peay.
I picked against West Georgia one time this year, and they put me in the mud. But I'm picking against them again. Austin Peay should win this football game, Brandon.
Yeah, I picked against West Georgia against ETSU, and I'm humiliated by that pick to this day. Yeah, the tough thing for Widener is he's going to be asked to do things that he I don't want to say he's not comfortable doing, but he just hasn't been asked to do in leading the Wolves. I think for Austin Peay, they're going to be able to dictate the style of this fight. They're going to be able to run the ball when they need to, pass the ball. I mean, Pearson's a very good passer there for the Governors. If you're West Georgia, can you come from behind? Can you sling the pill around? That's not necessarily Joel's white, MO
Widener's.
in a short time at head coach of West Georgia. So I think for the Wolves, it's going to be really tough for them to try to dictate the style of how this game is going to be played. And for Austin Peay, if they can come out of the gate and do that, if they can come out of the gate and win this game early on by getting, the 28 points, I would say by the third quarter, that's the path for them to win this game. Conversely, Austin Peay is not very good in these close combat fights. They have not played very well in close games. West Georgia has. So if there's anything to make West Georgia fans feel optimistic about the potential outcome of this game, the closer this game stays later in the game it gets, West Georgia has an opportunity to win this game. They are more comfortable, I would say, in a one-score game than Austin Peay is. But with that said, I don't think it's going to be that point. I think Austin Peay can get out to a two-score game and almost like, with the little cousin, when you keep your hand out in front of their head and they keep swinging, that's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, and I think if you're watching this game and you see a special teams play or a turnover in the red zone, putting a defense with a short field, offense with a short field, I think those are going to be the things we've seen Austin Peay kind of shoot themselves in the foot. They can limit those turnovers and play strong special teams. I think Austin Peay should win this football game. Okay, but you, Austin Peay, as well, across the board. God, West Georgia's probably going to put us all in this freaking circus. All right, here we go. It's Montana State and NAU Lumberjacks. Montana State 3-2, 1-0 in the Big Sky. And the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks 4-1 in the Big Sky. 4-1 overall, 1-0 in the Big Sky. This is at Walkup Stadium in Flagstaff, Arizona. The last meeting was 2023. It was Montana State 45-21. The series history's tied at 6-6, by the way. And the Bobcats winning the last three against NAU. Another matchup that I think we're all looking forward to. Two ranked opponents here. You got Montana State sitting at number, hang on, I got it right here in front of me. Montana State at number 5, NAU at number 13. By the way, in the Big Sky, Montana State is, behind Northern Arizona. So we'll see how it goes. You got to love what Ty Pennington's doing there for NAU. Justin Lamson has come into his own, throwing for over 1,000 yards, 56 touchdowns as his career. I'm pretty impressed with so far what the Montana State's been able to do. Really impressed with Northern Arizona. I think this is going to be a fun matchup, Brandon. I'll let you start right here. This is a tough one.
Really is. I think for Ty Pennington and Northern Arizona, they've moved the ball very well through the air. And I think that was some of the question marks that we had about Northern Arizona coming into the year. Was the quarterback play going to be on par? Montana State, of course, they have a lot that they have to live up to and replace and try to keep that mantle high. I'm really surprised and pleasantly surprised about NAU and the way they played this year. They also can get out of after the quarterback. You see that arena stat, the linebacker there for the Lumberjacks. He is a guy who is all over the place. He's in the backfield disrupting run plays, in the backfield getting after the quarterback. But he's also somebody that they trust in that second level on a dump off to cover, a tight end coming across the field, to cover a running back coming out of the backfield as well. So I think Northern Arizona, for all that they've done offensively to quell my questions that I had early in the year, defensively, they've taken a step up. I think this is an NAU team that has the advantage not only of being at home, but I think being a little bit more complete, especially defensively in this game. So I'll take Northern Arizona.
Wow. All right. I'll tell you this. I think there's one player that's going to be a difference maker in this one, and it's going to be Taco Dowler, the running back there for Montana State. Fantastic player. He is going to be somebody that is going to force this offense down the field. And you got Lamson, who's obviously delivering the football now, and the defense for Montana State, I think, is good enough to stop what NAU brings. So give me Montana State in a win over NAU, Coach Jackson.
Well, I think the game being played in Arizona keeps it close, but not quite close enough. I'm gonna have to go with Montana State.
Montana State is a 9.5 favorite over NAU. That's a little bit shocking, but I think it's gonna be close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a field goal type game for this one. I really think this is going to be a great game, and it could be the game that NAU needs to kind of lift them up into that Big Sky conversation of top-tier teams in the Big Sky. Okay, all right, here we go. South Dakota State and Youngstown State. It is number 2 versus number 18. This one should be a good one. You got Chase Mason impressing everybody around the country. Loffridge, who transferred in from Fordham, is doing great things there on the offensive running back position there for South Dakota State. And Bronson Brumgard, who is a dual threat quarterback. You see he leads the team in passing and rushing. 4 touchdowns through the air, 8 touchdowns through the ground. Youngstown State can't be one-dimensional if they want to win this game. It's at home there in Stanball Stadium, 6 p.m. ESPN Plus. Last year, South Dakota State absolutely bombed Youngstown State, 63-13. That was in Brookings. Should be a different game in my opinion, but I'm going to go South Dakota State in this one. Brandon, any chance Youngstown State pulls out an upset?
I mean, there's a chance South Dakota State misses the bus. But that's about it. Yeah, South Dakota State's going to win.
Coach Jackson?
Listen, if you're close to Youngstown, you need to make it to the ball game because they're going to need you.
Yes.
I'm kind of like Brandon. I don't think it's going to be that close. And I like Doug Phillips and what he's done. Unless, like Brandon said, unless something happens to the bus on the way over to the stadium, it's going to be tough sledding for the Penguins. Give me 34-24, and the Penguins score late to even make it look respectable.
Okay. I like it. I think it's going to be something that you'll see a slower start for South Dakota. Youngstown State may take a 3-0 lead, but then it's going to be, it's not going to go well. All right, the key matchup of the afternoon for Saturday is North Dakota State and Illinois State. This is a number 1 versus number 6. North Dakota State at 4-0, 1-0 in the MVFC. Illinois State Redbirds at 3-1, 1-0 in the MVFC. In Normal, Illinois, Hancock Stadium in 2024, North Dakota State picked up a 42 win over the Redbirds. The series history is way one-sided, 15-2, and NDSU has won the last 13 games. NDSU only allowed 8 rushing yards last year against Illinois State. I think this is going to be a much different team. Tommy Rittenhouse has matured. Rinker's right, their running back, has done a great job on the ground. He's a leader on that team. But let me tell you, Cole Payton and NDSU are absolutely rolling, and I do not see anyone stopping this North Dakota State Bison squad. Give me NDSU over Illinois State big, Coach Jackson.
It seems to me like the Bison have been on an ass-whooping tour this year, and maybe because of some of the disrespect they've gotten over the last couple of years. I think they've taken all their matchups seriously. what did Michael Jordan say or something like that? I hated it or something like that. But anyhow, I think that they come to and take care of business, and I think I want Illinois State to win, but I don't think it's close. I think the Bison roll pretty big.
All right, Brandon, what's up?
The line you're looking for, and I took that personally.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think they've taken the person.
I'm sorry, I was just looking to see what was going to be on ESPNU at the time of this game. And about an hour after kickoff, they're going to show Tulsa and Memphis. I'd much rather watch this game than Tulsa and Memphis. I'll be 100%
Shame on ESPN.
honest.
Shame on ESPN.
And Trey Lamb's done a great job with the drillers there in Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane. And then Ryan Silverfield is a great coach at Memphis. This is going to be a far better game than that. But with that said, Bison are going to win this game. And it's a shame that Illinois State is going to lose this game, and they're going to look like they don't belong. But they're going to lose this game and still be probably one of the 4 or 5 best teams in FBS. In FCS. I say this with, full respect to everybody else. North Dakota State is a notch above right now.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue with that. In fact, the betting odds are 24.5 points favorite NDSU over number 6 team in the FCS. That is and
Illinois State would be favored against most other teams that they
100%. 100%. I don't know that there's a team out there that they're going to be favored 24.5% of points for, but that's a big number, and that you got to wonder. That is a big, big number. By the way, Chris Mastrangelo mentions Monmouth's going to trounce Delaware State this week. We agree. We agree. Not even worth talking about this one, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us the show. I really do appreciate it.
How many points does Chris think they're going to score?
I don't know. He didn't say.
Terrific offense. They got a terrific offense. I bet they put up 7.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Derek Robertson is fantastic. Is absolutely fantastic. Brandon, thank you so much for getting away from the house and going to Starbucks and and joining us from a remote location, undisclosed. Sorry about the little hiccup.
Well, I got to go look at paint swatches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Sweet Elizabeth just got here, so I'll figure something out. Like I said, I'm just kind of getting over a cold or something, so I don't know what our plan is, but we'll probably do a little hike or something. Coach Jackson, safe travels out there. I hope you do go out to Austin Peay and watch that one. And if you do, talk to some folks, and I'll send you the login. Maybe we can go live on some of those interviews for Austin Peay and West Georgia.
If I get a chance to go, I'm gonna look up see if I can find some West Georgia folks to talk to and see what their take is on the game.
All right, that sounds perfect.
Don't tell them that we all picked against them.
Well, if they watch the show, they ought to know that.
They should be watching the show. Yeah, come on. All right, yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be in the locker room. The clip of the show is going to be played in the locker room.
It might be. It might be. We'll see. All right. For Brandon Joseph, for Coach Ron Jackson, I'm Nathan McCray. So great having Brandon back. This has been the FCS Checkdown. We'll do a recap and a wrap-up show probably Sunday night, maybe Monday. We'll decide, and we'll put it out there on socials. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out. Thank you for all those who were involved in the chat. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help us out. We're as soon as we get enough likes, we're gonna be able to monetize, and then we'll have some giveaways and stuff from FCS, and hopefully giveaways for like FCS type merchandise for your team or whatever. We'll see how it goes. All right, for Brandon, for Coach, I'm Nathan. We'll see you next week. It's FCS week number 6. Let's go.